Hi traders, so I'm teaching you guys basically how to find daily bias, right, and how to use fair value gaps or imbalances for directional bias. It's very important to start your analysis from the weekly chart, and you want to note whenever we have a gap or an imbalance, right, like this. When the market touches the gap and then moves lower, that shows that the gap is a strong gap, right? But when we have a gap like this and the market closes below that gap, it disrespects the gap, meaning that it violates the gap, right? Closes below this gap with this single candle. That means that it won't respect this gap and it won't move higher. So what you look for is for a retracement inside of this gap, so it becomes an inverse gap, and then you look for selling opportunities. So whenever a gap is violated, it becomes as resistance or it's as support, right? I'll show you guys another example. We have this gap. Move it to the right side. When the market moved higher and closed above this gap on this day, this specific week from the 19th of March, from there on, we want to see a retracement just inside of that gap. You see, we have this retracement inside of that gap, plus this bullish order block, and we have buy side liquidity resting above this high. So going forward, we'll be looking forward for buying opportunities every week up until that buy side liquidity is taken out. And also we see whenever we have a gap like this, and we want to know if the gap is strong, we have a retracement inside of that gap and then a rejection very quick moves up. That shows you that this gap was valid. If it wasn't valid, it would have been moving lower, consolidating, or even closing below this gap. But it just touched it and then rejected, moved higher. That means that it's a strong gap. So the following week you'll be looking forward for buying opportunities. And guys, directional bias doesn't mean that every day you should be trading. Alright, so you see we have this gap. The market moved inside of it, but it failed to deliver higher. So it shows that this gap is not strong enough. Even this week we dipped into it, but the market didn't move strongly enough higher. It means that this gap is weak. So it could be a close. If there's a close below this gap, we'll be looking forward for the next week the market retrace into it and then a move lower, maybe targeting sell side liquidity below this low or even this gap.